Most people who were told they were smart grew up believing one very specific thing about themselves. And most people who were told they weren't carried that too. Here's the thing about intelligence. We were handed a very narrow definition of it when we were young. If you were fast with numbers or good with words, you were bright. You had potential. Teachers noticed you. But the kid who couldn't sit still, who was always drawing on the margins of his notebook, or the girl who never spoke in class but could read a room better than anyone in it, they got a different label. Not smart, distracted, shy, a little behind. And some of them believed it. For decades, a developmental psychologist named Howard Gardner spent years watching how different people process the world. And what he found wasn't a single kind of intelligence. He found 8 of them. Not types of talent, not hobbies, types of intelligence. 1. Linguistic intelligence. This is the one we celebrate most. The person who finds exactly the right word. Who tells a story and makes you feel like you were there. Writers have it. Great teachers have it. So do comedians, lawyers, and that one friend who can articulate what you've been feeling for months but couldn't name. If you've ever read a sentence and thought, yes, that's exactly it, you were witnessing linguistic intelligence at work. 2. Logical mathematical intelligence. This is the one school's reward. The ability to reason, to find patterns, to think in systems. It's not just mathematicians. It's the person who walks into a messy situation and immediately sees the logic underneath it. Who can spot the flaw in an argument before anyone else has finished the sentence. It looks calm, but inside, something is moving very quickly. 3. Spatial intelligence. Some people think in pictures. Not metaphorically, literally in pictures. They can look at a flat blueprint and walk through the building in their mind. They pack a car trunk like it's a puzzle they've already solved. They get unlost because they remember that the coffee shop had a red awning and was east of the fountain. Architects have it. Surgeons, sculptors, and the person at your dinner table who can't explain directions in words, but could draw you a perfect map from memory. 4. Musical intelligence. This one gets misread as a gift, but it's a way of knowing. People with musical intelligence don't just hear music. They process the world rhythmically. They notice when a conversation has a tempo. They feel it when something is off, even if they can't say what. There are people who learn to read emotions by learning to read music first. The two things for them are not so different. 5. Bodily kinesthetic intelligence. The body, for some people, is a thinking tool. Athletes have this. So do dancers, surgeons, and craftspeople. But so does the mechanic who can feel when an engine isn't right. And the nurse who knows something is wrong with a patient before the numbers say so. We sometimes say these people are naturally talented. But what they actually are is intelligent, in a language the body speaks. 6. Interpersonal intelligence. You've met someone like this. They walk into a room and, without trying, they understand it. Who's uncomfortable? Who's performing? Where the tension is quietly living. They don't read people like a trick. They just feel the room the way some people feel temperature, automatically, without effort. Great counselors have this. Great parents have this. So do the quiet people at parties who somehow always end up in the corner, having the most honest conversation in the building. 7. Intrapersonal intelligence. This is the rarest one to talk about because it lives entirely on the inside. It's self-knowledge. Not the Instagram kind. The real kind, knowing your own fears well enough to not be ruled by them. Knowing the difference between what you want and what you've been told to want. People with high intrapersonal intelligence often look like they have their life together. Sometimes they do. But mostly they've just spent a long time getting honest with themselves about things most people avoid. It's a quiet intelligence. And it might be the most useful one. 8. Naturalist intelligence. Some people think in the patterns of the living world. They notice the shift in weather before it comes. They remember the exact tree where something happened, the way a trail felt underfoot. They understand ecosystems, not just in forests, but in organizations, in families, in rooms. Farmers have this intelligence. Conservationists, but also the person who can walk into a new company and immediately understand its unspoken culture, who holds the power where the energy flows what's quietly dying. Pattern recognition at its deepest level. What Gardner was really saying beneath all the categories is that human beings are not ranked. We are varied. The child who struggled in school might have been the most bodily kinesthetic person in the room, in a room that never once let them stand up. The adult who thinks they're not smart might have interpersonal intelligence so refined that people have been leaning on them their whole life, without ever thinking to give it that name. Intelligence was never one thing. It was always this 8 different ways of being attuned to the world. And somewhere in those 8, you've been intelligent your whole life. You just may not have had the word for it yet.